Make x the subject of the relation y is equal to square root of px on r minus r squared times x. To make x the subject from this relation, our focus should be on the x variable, right? So we have to square both sides. Squaring both sides gives y squared is equal to square root of px on r minus r squared on x all squared. And so we are going to have y squared is equal to, now in this case the square will cancel out the square roots, so that's we are going to have just px on r minus r squared x. So now let's factor out x from the right hand side. If we factor out x from this expression, we are going to have x out pr. So that would be x out p on r minus, if we factor out x, here we left with r squared, so that will be r squared. So since we are focusing on the x variable, we just have to divide by this guy, so we divide both sides by pr minus r squared. We now simplify this expression, so we are going to have y squared is equal to x. Now let's add these two fractions. We are going to add pr and minus r squared, so we find the LCM, which is r. So here will be p, and here is going to be minus r cubed. Since we are making x the subject, we have to divide by this guy, so we divide both sides by p minus r cubed divided by r, and so we are going to have y squared divided by p minus r cubed on r is equal to x p minus r cubed on r divided by p minus r cubed on r. And so these two guys will cancel out. We now simplify the expression on the left hand side. To simplify the expression on the left hand side, we write it in the form of a divided by b. So if we have a divided by b, this is equal to a, then we change the division sign to multiplication, then we invert b, so that's going to be 1 over b. So this is what we are going to do in this case. So we are going to write this expression as y squared divided by p minus r cubed on r. Thus we are going to have y squared multiplying r on p minus r cubed. Thus we will have ry squared on p minus r cubed is equal to x. Hence x is equal to ry squared on p minus r cubed. And so the correct option is option A. With our next question, we have, if cosine of y is negative and sine of y is negative, in which quadrants will y lie? To solve this question, we draw our 4 quadrants. So in the first quadrant, sine is positive, cosine is positive, and tangent is positive. In the second quadrant, it's just sine that's positive. So here, sine is positive, cosine is negative, and tangent is negative. In the third quadrant, tangent is positive, and so sine will be negative, cosine is negative, thus tangent is positive. In the fourth quadrant, cosine is positive, and sine is negative, and tangent is negative. Now in the question, we are being told that sine of y is negative and cosine of y is negative. So which implies that in this region, the only portion in which sine is negative and cosine is negative is the third quadrant. So thus y will lie in the third quadrant. And so the correct option is option C. With our next question, we have the volume of a cone is 264 centimeters cube. If the base radius is 6 centimeters, find the height. Take pi to be 22 on 7. From the question, we know that the volume is equal to 264 centimeters cube and the radius is 6 centimeters. So we're being asked to find the height. Now, how do we find the volume of a cone? The volume V of a cone is defined to be 1 over 3 pi r squared h. Now from the question, we know pi to be 22 on 7. So we are going to have pi is equal to 22 on 7. And the radius is defined to be 6 centimeters. And the volume is defined to be 264 centimeters cube. So we just have to substitute these guys in this expression. Then we can now find our height. And so we are going to have v, which is equal to 264 centimeters cube, is equal to 1 over 3, and pi is defined to be 22 on 7, and the radius is defined to be 6, so that's going to be 6 centimeters all squared, and the height is unknown, so let's write h. Now let's simplify this expression. 264 centimeters cube is equal to 1 on 3, 22 on 7, and 6 centimeters all squared is going to give us 36 centimeters squared, multiplying the height, which is unknown in this case. Now let's simplify this guy. So we are going to have 264 centimeters cube is equal to 22 multiplying 36 centimeters squared times height divided by 3 times 7 is now 21. 22 times 36 is going to give us 792. So centimeters squared h divided by 21, which is equal to 264 centimeters cube. So now simplifying this gives 264 centimeters cube is equal to 264 on 7 centimeters squared h, because when we divide these guys, we are going to have 264 on 7. We now cross multiply in order to find h. So 1 will multiply this guy and 7 will multiply this guy also. And so we are going to have 264 centimeters cube multiplying 7 is equal to 264 centimeters squared h. Now our goal is to find the height h. So we have to divide by 264 centimeters squared. So we now divide both sides by 264 centimeters squared. And so on the right hand side, these two guys will cancel out. And also on the left hand side, this guy will cancel out that. And centimeters squared will cancel out this. So here we'll be left with 1. So thus we are going to have 7 centimeters. Thus we are going to have 7 centimeters is equal to h. Hence the height is equal to 7 centimeters. And so the correct option is option C. Find the value of x for which the expression 2x minus 1 divided by x squared plus 2x plus 1 is not defined. This expression is undefined when the denominator is equal to 0. Thus, when x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. So we need to solve for x in this case. So we should know that this expression is a quadratic expression, right? So we find the factors of AC, when which we add, we are going to get b. So now those factors will be x plus 1 and x plus 1 is equal to 0, right? So now we now solve for x. That's when x plus 1 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. That's when x is equal to minus 1, or x is equal to minus 1. So in this case, we have repeated roots. Simply put, this expression will be undefined when x is equal to minus 1. And so the correct option is option D. The range of a sample of 10 numbers is 5, and the largest value is 50. What is the least value? Now here we need to know the definition of a range. So the definition of a range is the largest number minus the smallest number, right? So we just have to find the largest number and the smallest number. From the question, we know that the range is 5, right? So we are going to have here to be equal to 5. And we are also being told that the largest number is 50. So here is going to be 50. And for the least value, we don't know. So let's call it, say, y. Now we have to solve for y. So that's, we now group like terms. So we're going to have 5 minus 50 is equal to minus y. That's minus 45 is equal to minus y. And so y is equal to 45. Thus the smallest value is 45. Hence the correct option is option D. The diagonals of a rhombus is 12 centimeters and 16 centimeters. Find the perimeter. From the question, we know that the diagonals are 12 centimeters and 16 centimeters. So that's the longest diagonal will be 16 centimeters. And so this distance is going to be 16 centimeters and the shortest one will be 12 centimeters. So now since it's a rhombus, these diagonals will intersect at right angle. And so this distance will be half of the entire distance. And same for this one. This distance will be half of the entire distance. So here will be 8 centimeters and here will be 8 centimeters. Here will be 6 centimeters and 6 centimeters. Since these guys intersect at right angle, here is going to be 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90, 90. Thus, this triangle is going to be a right angle triangle. So we can use the Pythagoras theorem to find this given length. So now let's take this triangle out and find the length of this guy. So this is going to be the resulting triangle we are going to have. And so our goal is to find this length, which in this case is being represented by y. Now by Pythagoras theorem, we are going to have y squared is equal to 6 centimeters squared plus 8 centimeters squared, which implies that y is equal to the square root of 6 squared plus 8 squared. Thus, y is equal to the square root of 100. So y is going to be 10 centimeters. Hence, this distance is 10 centimeters. Now, since this figure is a rhombus, all the sides are the same. So here is going to be 10 centimeters, 10 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and 10 centimeters. From the question, we're being asked to find the perimeter of this given rhombus. So we just have to add all the sides. So we are going to have 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, which is going to give us 40. And so the perimeter is giving us 40 centimeters. Thus the correct option is option D. Solve the equation x into bracket 3x plus 4 is equal to 4. To solve this, we first distribute the x on the left hand side. So we are going to have 3x times x, which is going to give us 3x squared, and 4 times x is 4x is equal to 4. And so we are going to have 3x squared plus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. And now we have a quadratic equation. So we can now easily solve this given quadratic equation. So in this case, AC is going to be minus 12. Thus we are going to have 3x squared minus 2x plus 6x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now we can now factor out. So we pick the first two. So we are going to pick these guys, then we pick these guys also. So that's 3x squared minus 2x plus 6x minus 4 is equal to 0. Brackets, we can factorize x out. So x out, here we're left with 3x minus 2. End of the second bracket, we can factor out 2. So 2 out, here we're left with 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now, these brackets are the same, right? So we can write just 1. Then we now write the coefficient. So that's going to be x plus 2 and 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So here, x plus 2 is equal to 0, or 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Thus, x is equal to minus 2, or 3x is equal to 2. Thus, x is equal to 2 on 3. So hence x is equal to minus 2 or x is equal to 2 on 3. And so the correct option is option A. With our last question, we have the set P giving us minus 2, 0, 2, 4, and 6. And the set Q giving us minus 1, minus 2, 0, 2, 3, and 5. And we have to find P intersection Q. P intersection Q simply means the elements that are in P and are also in Q. So from these sets, we can see that 0 is in Q and it's also in P. So we are going to have here to be 0. Now let's check again. We have 2 in the set P and 2 is also in the set Q. Thus we are going to have 2 also being in the set of P intersection Q. So as we can see, these are the two elements that are in both sets. So thus P intersection Q is 0, 2. And so the correct option is option D.